So I'm sure by now you've all seen the Sydney Sweeney advert. If you haven't, here it is. Um, Simple format. Pretty girl is wearing jeans, and they want you to buy jeans, and then she gets in a car and zooms off. Um, this has caused the left to go into absolute meltdown. If you've been on social media for the last week, you would have seen it. People are calling this Nazi and eugenicist and disgusting and white supremacist and all the rest of it. They really don't like pretty girl wearing jeans, making some very vague allusions to jeans with a G. They don't like that. It didn't used to be that this sort of thing would be controversial. I'm going to play for you quickly here a 1980s Calvin Klein advert with the lovely Brooke Shields, and just listen to the eugenicist rant that she goes on.
The secret of life lies hidden in the genetic code. Genes are fundamental in determining the characteristics of an individual and passing on these characteristics to succeeding generations. Occasionally, certain conditions produce a structural change in the gene, which will bring about the process of evolution. This may occur in one or more of the following ways. Firstly, by selective mating, in which a single gene type proves superior in transmitting its genes to future generations. Secondly, by gene drift, in which certain genes may fade away while other genes persist. And finally, by natural selection, which filters out those genes better equipped than others to endure in the environment. This may result in the origin of an entirely new species, which brings us to Calvin's and the survival of the fittest.
Calvin Klein jeans.
Very good, very good, Brooke Shields. That was like listening to a video by Dutton, on genes and survival and his theory on, woke eugenics, all the rest of it. But they didn't used to be shy about this sort of thing, which is surprising that it's causing us such a fuss these days. Anyway, and it wasn't just pretty ladies in gene adverts. I mean, this is a fairly famous one of some chap who goes to the laundrette, and apparently his thing is he likes to get all his laundering done at one time, and he strips down to his undies and washes everything. So the absolute state of his underwear, I dare not imagine at this point. It must be skidded to high hell, but whatever. That was a very popular advert with a chap in it. Then of course you've got this one. You might remember as well if you're old. A couple of whatever they are, Mormon girls or Amish gay. I don't really know what they are, but anyway, a couple of very pretty girls in traditional garb come to this river creek, and they see a chap having a bit of a wash in the river. And they find a pair of jeans abandoned by the side, and they get very excited because they think they're going to see his winky. Spoiler: that doesn't actually happen. It turns out that he was wearing his jeans in the river, and actually the jeans that they are holding belong to some old man. So whether that is really an indication that the jeans get you the girl, or the jeans with the G, and not being in your mid-50s. Is debatable at this point. I think while we're going through ads, I might as well throw in this one as well. This one is a bit of a favourite of mine because the girl is particularly special in this one. The whole gimmick here is that she's getting changed in front of somebody who is convinced her that he is in fact blind. He's not, but we're another spoiler alert. But this is a fairly straightforward format. You see, you can either go to the shops and you can buy yourself a £20 pair of jeans, and you got some clothes and you got somewhere to put your wallet in and stuff like that. Or you can pay more than twice as much and get a premium pair of jeans. And it's like, well, why would you do that? Well, the only reason you would do that is if attractive members of the opposite sex are going to, take you more seriously and, want to spend horizontal time with you. That's the sort of essential premise of all of these type of adverts. And if you're trying to sell a premium pair of jeans, well, that makes sense. Back in the early 90s when I was a young teenager, that was precisely what I did. I paid extra on the hope that it might lead to sexual opportunity. I don't think that. I don't think that happened. I don't think really. Even if it did, it wasn't the result of paying extra for jeans. Anyway, so we went from that to a long period in the later 90s and 2000s and 2010, where we had adverts much more like this. This is apparently an advert for underwear. It looks, I know, a lot more like an advert for type 2's diabetes testing, or possibly corn syrup, or Democratic Inner City Organizer, or I don't know what this is, Supreme Justice edition or something. But we went for a long period of this, and why did we do this? I mean, what is the actual appeal of Sydney Sweeney? I mean, my view on this is that it's not that she's the hottest. I mean, she's very good looking. I don't dispute that. She's very, very good looking, and she's got a lovely pair of lungs on her. Blonde haired and blue eyed. She's got that slightly dopey look about her, like she's, I don't know, just been tranked or something. But all models need their slight thing, don't they? That make them stand out. So no, she's a lovely girl. But what actually is the appeal of Sydney Sweeney to the right, and why are those characteristics causing so much upset on the left? And why are they screaming Nazi and eugenicist and all that sort of thing? And I'll tell you why I think it is. It's simply this. She is unapologetically feminine, doesn't appear to hate men. I mean, it really is that simple. And the key, though, I think, is the unapologetically. Because you're allowed to be beautiful, like you're allowed to be like a Margot Robbie or something like that. But if you are, you're expected to genuflect on the liberalist altar. You're expected to go around saying the sort of things that you're supposed to say. You're supposed to be, essentially apologetic about being feminine. You're supposed to be apologetic about being blonde and blue-eyed. You're supposed to say all of those things. And Sydney Sweeney does not appear, as far as I can tell, to do any of that. She's just a good-looking lass who does, the films and the adverts, and sort of just gets on with it. There is no greater messaging going on here than good-looking, blonde, blue-eyed girl does some things on screen or behind a camera and just sort of gets on with it. And that in itself, that lack of apology, that is a repudiation of liberalism. It's a repudiation of the feminist order. It is a repudiation of the collapse, the utter collapse of our society. There is pushback coming through, and it's working out bloody nicely for American Eagle. I mean, let's just go back to my first tweet on this subject. There's the ad that came out, and look what it's done to their share price. At this point, it is basically a breach of your fiduciary duty if you're running any sort of publicly traded company and you don't put Sydney Sweeney in your ads. So, yes, ultimately, I think the issue here is a rejection, and it is a rejection of a certain kind of people. I'm referring to this. Do you remember the absolute fuss that this sticker caused? It's okay to be white started, being put up all over the places, and the response was equally apoplectic to this. I mean, I could find you dozens of stories. I'm sure you remember them. It was only a few years ago. Dozens of stories of how police were investigating hateful stickers. I think this first started in a university. Some chap put this up in the bathroom of a university stall or something like that, and the university started investigating. A whole bunch of furore was generated by stickers and signs like this. But it was actually a very clever campaign. It was a clever campaign because at no point could anyone explain why it was wrong. Why is it not okay to be white? Why is saying it's okay to be white, why is that a hateful statement? Especially since this came on the back of BLM and Black Lives Matter. if it's okay to say Black Lives Matter, which of course they do, why is it wrong to say it's okay to be white? It's because the people professing these views have genuinely anti-civilizational attitudes. They are the enemy of the type of people who tend to be blonde-haired and blue-eyed. And we've been expected for the last 20 years to sort of just sit through this, watching as we become second-class citizens, as preferential hiring is given to any other group but the group of people who tend to have blonde hair and blue eyes. And we're told that we've got to shut up and apologise for history, which, as far as I can tell, is the history of making things work and beautiful architecture, music, and art, and much else aside. I think this is an interesting breakthrough because they're realising that actually there does have to be a return to reality. You do have to go back to good-looking girls selling things unapologetically feminine. But also it's a breakthrough because I think the group of people in this world who, quite frankly, have got a lot of stuff done over the centuries and is probably the reason why we're able to enjoy the type of lifestyle we do, the type of people who built civilization. I think they're done with apologising. I think they're rapidly coming to the view that actually it is okay to be white, and something as simple as a blonde-haired, blue-eyed girl, being attractive on camera and not feeling the need to genuflect to liberalism or to apologise for that, it's enough. I think we have achieved a level of fatigue with the current world order and a fatigue with certain behaviours that actually at this point, despite the fact that it's going to prohibit you from elements of polite society, I think this sort of anti-white torrent of nonsense that we've been getting over the last couple of decades. I think that as soon as you show them the light of reality, the light of the fact that we won't stand up from it, they're going to shrink away like vampires from the dawn. So I'm encouraged. Good work, Sydney Sweeney. You did a great ad. Let's see if we can get back to those proper, slightly more racy 80s ads. Even though my personal favourite was the Flat Eric adverts, but I don't think any of you will remember those unless you're very old.